Alright, so at this point we're pretty well shaped like a dagger, but we've still got to go back and do a bunch of cleanup on it, tune everything up. You also see that I'll start wire brushing at every heat, and I'll be using the water on the anvil to pop the scale off. I'll also be using much lower. Okay, so you'll see how I don't have nearly as much heat this time. And I'm going to be using a smaller hammer with a much more polished face. And we're just lightly tapping everything just right. The cleaner job I do right here, the easier the time I have at the grinder later. Several normalizing heats with my heat treat furnace before we move on from the forging phase. Stubborn bit of scale right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'll file off so I don't keep pounding into my surface. Pretty decent now. Move back a bit into the area and move with a bigger hammer because I need to refine some geometry. Alright, so go back to my 3-pound hammer. Try and fine-tune the geometry right here at the Picasso and plunge area. Get everything nice and clean. Line down the center, which actually needs to be in the center. It's kind of a thing, and that is not. Our geometry's just about right. We're going to move back to the lighter hammer. Just tap, tap, tap until we're happy. Hardest parts of blade shifting is knowing when to stop. And punch cut. There's a lot of geometry going around right here that makes these rather fun. That's going to do it for that spot. Got the blade nice and clean. Got the plunges established pretty nicely. They're actually still pretty straight. We'll go back and straighten a few times. The last thing I'm going to do here is fine-tune the tip area, because I wanted to keep from reheating it, heating it, and messing up the grain in the tip until I was ready to move on. Alright, so go over and get our final forging into the tip. You'll notice, keep rocking the blade back and forth, flipping it over, back and forth, trying to keep everything lined up, square, true, even. It's a constant battle, especially with a double-edged dagger like this. Got a little curve in the blade we'll have to get out here, but getting there. Again, being very careful not to overheat our piece, especially now that we're out here at the tip, which is pretty thin. Doing right there, and there's a little curve. That's about got it. And I'm just trying to lift it up like this and hit here just to tap that curve back straight. Very, very gently. And that's about it. We'll do one more heat to make sure everything's just where we want it, and then we'll clean up the scale and normalize it.